Hi friends! I've got a brand new kit, a Moriah Elizabeth Blob Universe kit that we are going to test out today. I'm very excited for it. You all know who Moriah Elizabeth is, or I hope you do. What's inside this kit is 3 blank figures, 9 acrylic paint tubes, gloss varnish modeling clay, an aesthetic paint pen, a tablecloth wooden sculpture tools, and 2 paint brushes. And here's how the kit looks inside. So let's just unbox everything. It comes with a beautiful instruction manual. Inside the manual, I didn't show it, but it does have a space where you can actually design your blobs, and it gives you like step-by-step guides if you need like hints. Here are the paint, they look so good, and you actually get a lot of clay with this kit. There's also 3 things inside this bag. This is also your paint brush. There's like 2 sizes of paint brushes and also a beautiful paint pen. Now, fair warning, I actually didn't use the paint pen because I did a couple of tests with it and it was very runny, and I don't know if that was just like my pen or if it's just a kit in general, but I didn't trust them on using them for the blobs later on. But it looks really, really cool. The inside of the box is absolutely beautiful. The 3 figures are really sturdy and look really, really cool, and I'm actually kind of surprised with the quality of this kit. Also, this kit arrived super fast. Like, I think I ordered it on like a Tuesday and it came on like either the Thursday or the Friday. Like, it was like speedy. I actually really like that this kit kind of contains everything. I feel like Moriah did a really good quality test with this and kind of figured out everything you needed down from the start to finish of this, which I really appreciate. To design all 3 of these blobs in today's video, I didn't have to reach for a single resource outside of this kit except for water. Anyway, let's begin with our first little friend. So here is the base blob. You get 3 of these. They're quite sturdy. They do have a tiny little bit of a give to them. So you're going to use air dry clay for this. And I actually don't really have a lot of practice with air dry clay. I normally tend to use polymer clay or epoxy sculpt. So this was like a new experience for me, but I did a little bit of research. I watched her video and I watched a bunch of other people who have tried this kit. And apparently the trick is you just need a lot of patience and a lot of water. So basically what I'm doing is I'm going to make my original character that I made called Sunday, and he's got this cute little swirl of hair on the front of him. So in order to get air dry clay to stick to the blob, you kind of have to like taper it down so that it blends into the blob, and it can be quite difficult because it does move around a little bit. So I just was a little bit patient, dipped my fingers and my tools in water, and I just went around every single edge and just blended it out. And when I tell you this worked a treat, it was absolutely perfect. So basically I just made my whole way around, and then I went over it then with my finger and a paintbrush with the water just to make sure that it was very smooth, because air dry clay does tend to crack as it dries, and you definitely don't want this to pull away from the base figurine at all. But once you dip it into the water and you're smoothing out the process, you can actually see the difference, and the water does help manipulate the clay in a way that allows you to just smooth it out, taper it down, and it gives a really smooth finish on this piece of clay actually, and it's really nice to work with. Now, the next part for Sunday's character is a little dollop of cream. Now, I was really kind of tempted to make out of the wall characters here, but you know, Moriah Elizabeth, there's a couple of things that are like associated with her, right? There's like rainbows, dessert, food themed characters, and sprinkles. So all of my characters will have sprinkles, and they will have some variation of like food theme today. So this one is Sunday. I imagine him as like a little like happy-go-lucky dessert kind of character. So this is the dollop of cream that I added on. Instead of doing like a wormy dealy kind of clay piece, I found it was easier just to make the giant blob of clay, smooth that out, taper it all the way around, and then add the kind of like tapered point at the top of the kind of whipped cream and smooth it out that way. And I just found that process a lot easier and made it look a little bit more cartoony, a little bit more natural, and a little bit more closer to the character design that I have. And again, use plenty of water with my fingers and paintbrushes to go around and smooth all of this. And the next part of Sunday's character that you might not be aware of is he has a little lollipop stick that sticks out of the whipped cream on top of him, and also kind of forms like a little bit of an ear. So I just went ahead and cut off an actual lollipop stick because there was no way I'm making one of these out of clay. So I just went in, popped that into the clay once I had it all smoothed out, and then I took my tool, dipped it in a little bit more water, and I brought the clay up onto the lollipop stick just to kind of give it a little bit more security and an anchor, because I don't want this lollipop stick to move or to come loose or the clay to pull away from it. And I just felt that was kind of like the best option here. And I think the overall effect looks really, really cool here. I think Sunday's base form is cute. So then we can go in with our paint, and I didn't have to reach for a single color outside. I think Moriah did a really good job picking out the colors here. All you got to do is take your base colors and blend them out. You can mix them with white or black if you would like to, or brown if you want to like darken them. But I just went with the basic yellow here. I gave it like one coat. The yellow is very opaque, like so opaque and so beautiful. I can't say that for all of the colors. The pink did need a bunch of different layers here, but I went ahead and added the yellow and pink in, and I just kind of focused a little bit on trying to get that ombre going. I still need a little bit of practice doing this. It was not great, and it's a little bit too sudden for my taste, but I tried my best here. Okay, y'all, I tried. I think overall it does look cute, and I'm really happy with the result, but I just know if I had like more practice, I could do it better in that kind of way. But anyway, had the ombre done, and then I decided to tie in the whipped cream, and I don't want it to just look like a piece of clay sitting on it. So that's the beauty of paint, because we can add the paint and we can bring down that whipped cream into our color scheme and make it look like the kind of whipped cream, like ice cream, is like melting a little bit and dripping down his forehead, which is kind of how I designed Sunday in the first place. And basically I just went very slowly and patiently around and kind of brought the white down just where I thought that naturally the whipped cream would drip or puddle or pool, and I think it adds to the effect actually. I think it looks really, really cool here. And then next I went in with the face design. Now this was very brave of me. Normally I would take a very, very like light pencil, like HB pencil, and I would go in and I would sketch out the face. But because Sunday's a character that I've been drawing and making out of clay for like a long time, I kind of felt a little bit confident going in with his facial patterns. Also, it was kind of more on the solid base of the color, so if I made a mistake, I easily could have just painted it over it. It wasn't a big of a deal. I do think if anyone else is doing this kit and they have like a more complicated paint design under their facial features, maybe sketching it out might be a little bit better. Added in his little rosy pink cheeks, and then I went in with this beautiful red color. Now this red I did mix with a little bit of pink and a little bit of white, just to give it more of a little like pastel kind of color, and I just slowly brought it down into the pink, gave it that like open mouth feel, because Sunday, if you all don't know, Sunday is a really fun character. He firmly believes that every problem can be solved with a sweet treat. He's wonderfully silly, he's easily distracted, and he's convinced that every new experience is the greatest thing ever. He's impossible not to love as a character because he's literally just genuinely happy to exist. And so I wanted to capture that in his expression, and I think he looks actually adorable here. So I went in and added in a little bit of a cute tongue here. I tried to make the tongue heart-shaped. I don't know if it comes across, but I wanted to make it look like it was a little bit of a heart just sitting in his mouth. And I think the overall effect looks really cute. Afterwards, once the face was kind of done, I took a little bit of white and I wanted to add in a couple of little highlights. I added some around the mouth, onto the tongue, and then I just did these little sprinkles of white just to give him kind of like a shiny little like cartoony look. And I think it looks really cute. It also kind of looks like a little bit of powdered sugar a little bit. Added in the cute little innocent eyes. And I know Moriah Elizabeth's characters have that kind of like black orb eye look, but because Sunday's like a character of mine, I wanted to stick to his true details, and so I just gave him these little black pupils. And then we have our sprinkles. And so each of my characters today are going to have a massive amount of sprinkles. I just went in with each color. I did a little bit of variations between like the oblong shape of sprinkles and then just like these little like dots of various sizes. And I just took my time, patiently went in with each one and just added them in. And I think it does such a beautiful job. All these colors are so complementary. They work very, very well together. Just take your time, have fun exploring if you do end up doing this kit, and you'll end up like really enjoying the process. And this was actually really soothing to do, just adding in the little sprinkles. Try not to make sure there was too much of one color it piled up in one area. And now it's time for blob number 2. Now this blob, I wanted to go like a little bit more simple. Moriah says in her video that if you're struggling with design, just add bear ears. So I thought, why don't I just add bear ears? So I'm gonna make another dessert theme kind of bear character. And surprisingly, the bear ears were harder than the dollop and the swirl on the last blob. The bear ears, because they're so circular and they're so kind of small, they're hard to taper down and keep that circular like shape. Or I guess maybe I'm just inexperienced with air dry clay and I just don't know how to do it, but managed to get them in. No, they're not even, but that's okay. Every blob is unique, I guess. But for this one, I actually did go in and use like wormy dealies. So basically I took a piece of clay, I worked it in my hands until it became like a little bit kind of a worm. Then I swirled it around to give it kind of that like beautiful like swirl effect of like the ice cream or cream. And then I went in again, wetting my tool and my paintbrush and blended all of that in. It was a little bit harder to do with the wormy deedly because when you get to the top, there ends up being this weird gap between the tip and like the second swirl, I would say. And so it's hard to like fill that in. So I took my time to go around with my tool and kind of make sure that was covered. I did see in a couple of Moriah's videos though that she actually goes in with puffy paint and closes those up. I didn't have puffy paint, so I just had to make sure I was like covered in that basis. But this blob's color scheme is actually pretty easy. It's a blue blob character. So this character actually is a character known as Gelato. He's a very difficult to read character, the kind of friend who silently appears beside you when you need company and then quietly like leaves and doesn't really say anything. In my head, I imagine this character to be like a gummy bear, like gelatinous, like jelly kind of body. So I imagine him very squishy and cute. And so basically I just took the one color blue, worked it down his body from the tip all the way down to his stomach, and as I went down I just added more and more white into the blue, and I just made an ombre all the way down. And then actually the base of Gelato is just a basic blob shape, so it actually works perfectly to blend out to. And I think that actually it turned out really cute. So I just went in and fixed up the ombre, and I think the ombre on this one, because it was one color just mixed with lighter shades of itself, really turned out a lot better of an ombre. So maybe I do just need more practice or a little bit more patience with the blob. Again, I went in and I fixed up some of the cream white and then some more of the ombre. And then I don't know what was up with me today, but I was very brave when it came to especially using black. Like, I don't know what I was on, but clearly I was on something. And I'm putting in the black paint. So this blob, Gelato, is going to have that stereotypical blob face that Moriah does, because I just thought it was really cute. So I went in, marked out where the mouth was, and then I marked in the first eye, doing the outline of the black, making sure that I got it as crisp of a circle as possible. And then I could just go in and cover up the middle, because it didn't matter once I had the outline of it done. And I tried my best to be like, just sharp with it, right? I didn't want to do like multiple takes of the eyes, so I just got the circle down. I did mess up on the second eye, and you will see it. For some reason, my depth perception is just wild. So I brought down the second eye far below one that I did in the first one, and it kind of gives him this little bit of a derpy expression, which is honestly kind of cute, but once you see it, you can't really unsee it, and because it's black, there was no way of really going over without multiple takes of the ombre, so I just was like, you know what, some mistakes we have to live with, and I guess this is one that Gelato has to live with. Well, me inflicting it upon Gelato, unfortunately. So anyway, went in with that, and then I just gave him some juicy white highlights, and I did the same thing as I did with Sunday, and just sprinkled a little bit of that white all around his body, gave him a little bit of a lighter blue in his ears, and then we went in with these sprinkles. So this is the design choice that I made to tie all three characters together, and you'll see it in the third character as well. I decided to just make some sprinkles all the way around, and it was actually really easy to just do this all in one go. And also, I meant to say it earlier, but when you're doing this, kid, please give your clay 24 hours of solid dry time. You do not want soggy, like half wet, air dry clay to be painting on. That's how you get cracks. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. But anyway, I think Gelato turned out really cute. On to our next blob. And just like that, we are down to our last blob, our final blob. This one is a little more unique than the other two blobs, only because they're actually an original character that I purchased and adopted from a channel here on YouTube called Frog and Bunny. It's a creative duo here on YouTube. They do a lot of cool artistic challenges, and for one video, they made a bunch of adoptables, and I really wanted to support them and their channel, so I purchased this little Sunday ice cream girl here on screen, and you can see that she is an ice cream clown character, and I really like her, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to translate her into a blob form. So with that in mind, I decided to take her little sweet personality and translate it, which turned into making obviously the ice cream first of all on the top of her head, which also connects her to the other two characters. So you can see how I got that food theme into all three. Right. So after adding in the initial top blob, I went in and added in more 3D blobs than I did for the other two. That way the snow cone looks a little bit more dynamic compared to the other two. And I brought it down because in the original artwork, she only has one eye showing, and I definitely thought this should translate into the blob design of her. So brought down the ice cream, and again, you have to make sure you're working with a lot of water, so make sure it's all smoothed and blended in and tapered down. Then I decided to add in her little stereotypical cherry that she has on top, and making sure to take the time to blend that in as well, because you don't want it to dry, shrink, and then pull away, and then just have like detachable pieces. If your pieces do detach, you can always glue them back on with hot glue, resin, whatever you have, you can do that with, but I just didn't want to deal with it, so I made sure to take my time when I was constructing it. Then I decided to use her ice cream cone, and I know originally it's on like the top of her head, but I thought it'd be kind of cute for the blob version of her to move to the side so that she kind of has these like two hair accessories and on either side and looks kind of like twin buns. I thought it was just a cute idea. So went ahead and made the cone shape, blended that in as well. I had to blend the initial cone into the kind of rim and then blend the rim into the ice cream as well. And that took a little bit longer to go ahead and blend out. But again, with a little bit of water, the solution is literally at your fingertips. So I managed to get that done as well. And I think for her base design, it looks really, really good. I did manage to use up all of the air dry clay that's provided in the kit. You actually don't really need to use all of the air dry clay. There's plenty, but I'm not going to have another use for it. So I just went ahead and used it all because I thought, why not? Let's go big or go home, right? So after adding in the ice cream cone and the ice cream and the cherry, then came the time to add in her little nose, and I thought it was so cute. I thought she really came together when I added in the nose. Again, the nose also had to be blended in, and I think the solution is to go big, right? The smaller the air dry clay piece, the harder it is to blend in and maintain its shape. But once you have it done, it's, you know, it's easy peasy. Then I went ahead and added in all of her stereotypical paint colors. For the blob version, I decided to remove all of her clothing items and just go with kind of more of the physical features. I thought that would kind of be just an easier thing to do, and easier to translate onto a blob. So I went in with that waffle cone texture color, and this was really hard to mix up with the paints that Moriah provided, but it is doable. It's just a little bit of yellow, a pink, and then a little bit of the brown and a lot of white. And you just basically kind of mix it together until you get like a nice like cool tone, but it is doable. So you can mix a lot of colors with the paints provided. Like, I don't want you all to think that you're restricted. Like, you're not restricted at all. With the colors that are provided, you can kind of mix mostly any color there. Then painted in her beautiful little nose, and then I used the same color for the cherry as well. I also meant to say that I added in a little bit of wire into the cherry just for the stem. I just thought it was easier than having a piece of air dry clay sticking out that might fall over or flop down, just to give it a little bit more structure, really. Went ahead and added that in, and then I'm going to paint in her eyes. Now, her eyes in the original are this beautiful blue, and so I wanted to translate that in very, very well. And of course, she only has one eye showing, so that's what I did here. Added in these like little eyelashes to show that she is a little lady, and then obviously went in and cleaned everything up and added in the sprinkles. And I will skip the sprinkles because it's literally just the same footage over and over and over again. I'm sure you all are bored of it by now. So went ahead and added in all of the sprinkles. And once that was done and when she was painted, it looks phenomenal. Here's a final look at all three characters, Sundae, Gelato, and Cherry.